Empire, good afternoon. How are you? Andreas here. This video is going to have two parts to it. One, to accomplish this week's agenda and figuring out what 3 questions should be asked when selling PRP that are vital to me. And the other part is going to be a follow-up to last week's video in regards to becoming a more important person in a doctor's eyes, becoming a resource as opposed to just becoming a sales rep. So the first part is the PRP piece. What are 3 important questions that I ask when selling PRP? First one is, you should obviously know if the surgeon does or does not use, or the doctor does or does not use PRP. If the doctor does use PRP, your question is going to be, why do you use PRP and why do you use the company that you use? Pretty self-explanatory. With that question alone, you'll be able to focus in on your next plan of attack and not necessarily just throw up information all over them. If they do not use PRP, that's when you need to get creative and figure out a way to convince them that PRP is the way to go. If they answer yes, a follow-up question could possibly be, okay, why do you use the company you use? Here's some of the benefits of mine. You could just get into, depending on the company that they use, get into different benefits that your product actually has and get into the technical science behind the Magellan system. If they say no, then you can get into a conversation of, expanding their business. How can PRP expand your business? Why don't you use something that you can charge cash for? Wouldn't it be nice if you can differentiate yourself from the 18 offices on this street alone? Not to mention, use a product that's relatively risk-free. If you're charging cash for a product that could only work, and if it doesn't work, it causes no harm. I mean, it's a no-brainer if you ask me, and if you speak to them in that manner, you can convince them the same thing. PRP might not have proven results in any white papers, but there's also no paper saying that it doesn't work. It's pretty much a crapshoot at this point whether or not it works. But there have been situations in Hines Ward and Tiger Woods where PRP has worked. And in theory, when you're in the operating room, for those that sell medical devices, you know that the number one factor in a repair is having vascularity. Whether you're doing a rotator cuff or meniscal repair, you need to have blood flow. That's your adhesive for the repair. That's what causes the scarring down of the tissue to the bone. So in theory, adding more blood to an area that's injured or torn should repair it, right? Maybe you should speak that way to your doc. I mean, theoretically, that should work. But again, unfortunately, there's no papers proving that. So how do you get them to differentiate themselves? Think like a businessman. Think outside the box. Doc, you're going to get to charge anywhere between $600. I've seen $2,000 being charged cash for this injection. Number one rebuttal, I'm not going to get my patients to pay cash. Well, you will if you convince them that that's the way they're going to get better. If you believe in PRP and you believe that it's going to work and you project that image to your patients, I know that if I went into his doctor's office and I had a torn patella tendon and the doctor said, you did physical therapy, nothing's working, you can either go to surgery and be out for like a couple months, or you can try this injection that's worked plenty of times before, but it's cash injection, but it'll work. This is how way it works, and break it down for your patient. I would pay cash. If you believe in the theory behind it, your patient will believe in the theory behind it. Another question that you could ask your doctors is, are you using ultrasound when injecting? That could also go with Orthovisc, obviously. Why do you ask? What's the benefit of using ultrasound? Well, doc, you can get reimbursed ultrasound injection fee. You could also, have, it's also a more consistent way of injecting, and just get into different stuff like that. But most of the answers that I've gotten when I've gone that route has been, we're not set up to do ultrasound. Obviously, that won't work then. So the way I've pretty much been able to successfully sell PRP to the customers that I have sold it to was to pretty much convince him that, you have a chance to make a huge profit margin and also use a product that's not being utilized by any of his major competitors. He has an opportunity to differentiate himself from all the other surgeons. He's going to be the newest and greatest. He's going to have the new product on the market that's turning heads. He's going to be that innovative guy. And I'm going to help him get there because I'm a sales consultant. And that leads me into my next piece. Last week, I spoke to you guys briefly about how to sell the Empire story. What can you talk about? Again, I spoke to Josh. And another thing that he mentioned is, all of us should be wondering what the fuck Josh does all week. I mean, he doesn't have a territory. He doesn't sell. What does Josh do every day from early a.m. to late p.m. every single day? He doesn't just sit around. So I spoke to him. I picked his brain a little bit. What does Josh do along with Dirk, along with all the other resources that Dirk and Josh have? Not to repeat anything that was said at the meeting, but they're always looking for opportunities for us to expand. Always looking for new products, always looking for a new way to create a larger sales force and create jobs and opportunities, as well as create opportunities for those that already have a job. He helps Empire think outside the box. So how can we do the same thing? How do we sell the Empire story? What are we telling these doctors when we're going in there? Hey, the MyTech rep is here again. He just wants to show you another helix. No. You're going to say, Doc, listen, man, I'm part of an elite organization. I'm part of an organization that started with 5 people, just over $2 million in revenue, and now we're up to 30 people, $30 million in revenue, and we are constantly growing. We have an opportunity to work with great companies like J&J, Arteriosite, MMI. We have so many good products out there, and we pick and choose which products to sell. We are getting constantly bombarded with opportunities to sell products because we have been the most successful sales force in New York in the medical device field. So we constantly are choosing who to work with. We have that luxury at our disposal. So for us to choose the companies that we choose, there's a reason for it. Those products are solid. They are consistent, innovative, revolutionary products. There could be other products out there like ours, but this is why ours are better. This is why I'm better than Joe Schmo selling for the other 16 companies. Here's how I can bring value to your practice. Here's how I will work with you. Here's some of the ideas that I have on how I'm expanding my practice. Here's some of the things that I'm doing with Empire, within myself, to make myself better and the organization stronger. I'm training new guys. We're constantly recruiting. Here's how we're recruiting. Recruiting manual. We put it together. A couple guys from within the organization with no additional salary added to that. We are doing that ourselves because we believe in the forward progress of our organization. The new database that Derek is working with to revolutionize the way we interview, we train, and all that stuff. If we can sell that idea to doctors, Doc, listen, this is what we're doing with technology now. Here's how we're applying it to help our sales force. Here's what we're doing to make sure that our sales force is always on top of their game. And they're always constantly improving and getting positive feedback from everyone else around them to assure that they're progressing. Is this something that you can use in your practice? Is this something that you can apply to your office manager, to your doctors that you're trying to interview to join your practice? Is this something that you think you can use? That may not be the way to go. Some guys might not believe it. They'll be like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. What are some other things you're doing? Well, Doc, I've had a very good, successful career so far in sales. This is how I've been able to do it. I've built relationships. I've helped other. I've utilized my coworkers. I've worked as a team. Is there any way that you can work with a team with your office? How you figuring out what makes that doctor tick? Is he money driven? Is he generally a science freak that just really is concerned about clinical benefits, and that's the way he's going to expand his practice? Whatever he does, Empire has a solution for him. So figure out what it is and apply it to his practice. Be that sales consultant that will make partners with that doctor. You are going to be his business partner. You're going to help him expand his business, and this is how you're going to do it. Hopefully this helps. Please let me know any feedback. I'm looking forward to hearing feedback from you guys. Have a great weekend.